Really haven't done anything.
Maria fought for 2 years to clear her name in court. Her children were taken away from her for many months. It destroyed her marriage. But eventually, she was vindicated.
The 3 appeal judges came to the unanimous decision that Munchausen syndrome by proxy was about 1,000 miles away from my case. And the judgment actually said that the use of the event recorder, it was dangerously unreliable and should play no part of the judicial system.
Have you ever been wrong? There's a straight question. Have you ever gotten a diagnosis wrong that you know of?
I think that it's inevitable in this field that you could make a mistake. Anybody who says they're not going to make a mistake or haven't made a mistake is highly suspect. Yes, I think I've made lots and lots of mistakes over not diagnosing abuse when it's there, that way round. Lots and lots that way round.
You've never falsely diagnosed anybody?
Oh, with regard to that side of the equation, I don't think so, no.
Never?
No. I've been so careful on that side.
What about Andrea Cawley? I mean, you said that she had Munchausen syndrome by animal proxy.
I repeat, I do not consider that I've made a mistake in that way round. That is, in falsely accusing somebody of abuse.
Yes, but you said Andrea did.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
You don't know what I said because you are only telling me what she says I said. I cannot
Are you
discuss
saying that
it.
you
I
never said
cannot
that she
go
had
further.
Munchausen syndrome by proxy? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not going to say any more about it.
I've changed my name, I've changed my address.
Even when Southall was proven wrong, he continued to pursue Andrea, writing letters to social services and others.
Saying what?
Saying that he was happy at the outcome of the court hearing, but he still had concerns about me. I think it was because I'd proved him wrong. I mean, had he been right, wouldn't have been the best doctor in the world, but he was wrong, and I think he was pretty upset about that.
We told you about Maria Worrell, diagnosed by Professor Southall with Munchausen's. She appealed and won her children back, but for her it didn't stop there. Southall supported an injunction on Maria, an injunction that stops her going public with her story.
I will go to prison for 7.5 years.
Why?
Or for talking to anybody.
And yet you're talking to us.
Yes, I feel very strongly, about this. I know that babies and children are still being removed on the opinion of Dr Southall.
What about Maria Worrell? She was vindicated by the Court of Appeal.
Just because the Court of Appeal discontinues a judgment on technicalities doesn't mean that it's not true.
Wait a minute, are you now telling me that if one of your cases goes to court and the woman is found guilty, then obviously it's true, but if the court clears the woman, then they're not getting it right, maybe? I mean, you can't have it both ways.
Oh, I'm not saying that the courts get it right every time or that I get it right. You asked me whether I
So
had
you don't
falsely
get it
diagnosed.
right every time?
I think I have got it wrong many times, but wrong in the negative. That is that I didn't diagnose it. I diagnosed it as some medical problem.
In your opinion, is he a dangerous man?
I think he's dangerous. There's no accountability, there's no apology, there's no explanation for why this has happened. And I think it's very dangerous when a doctor's allowed to get away with this. And I think he should be stopped immediately, as do a lot of other people, parents and professionals alike.
We've seen how women in Britain have fought against the label of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, fought and won back their children. But what of Suzanne MacDonald, who when we first met her was pregnant and living in Auckland? She knows she can't see her other 4 children, but will she, because of the Munchausen's label, lose another child? Is it possible that New Zealand's social welfare will follow the lead of their British counterparts and again separate mother and child? As Genevieve Westcott's special report continues, is it possible that from the other side of the world, Professor Southall's diagnosis will continue to haunt Suzanne MacDonald?
Oh, she's lovely, yeah. Couldn't believe how much hair she had. So much
3
hair.
hours after giving birth in hospital, Suzanne and Vince MacDonald bring baby Caitlin home.
I think at the time I was just in agony and didn't have time to think about anything really. I was just so relieved that it was over.
But their joy is overshadowed by fear. Fear that New Zealand social workers will take their baby away.
Well, I just wanted to go home.
Do you feel safer here? Is there a part of you that's waiting for the knock at the door?
Oh, yeah, no doubt there's going to be a phone call or they'll turn up.
Does that make it hard?
But like on tender hooks.
The fact is, a judge in Britain said that you were so dangerous to your children, they had to be removed. Doesn't the social worker here have to act on that?
No,
Why not?
because she has a duty to this baby to do what is right for the baby. And if she wants to remove the baby from me, she has to prove that the baby is at risk. So
Is the baby at
No.
risk?
Do you have any doubts at all?
No, no doubt at all.
Her husband, Vince, is also certain Suzanne will never harm their child. You're sure of that?
Absolutely sure. If I had any doubt, I wouldn't be here.
Did Suzanne tell you what she'd been accused of?
Yeah, from about the second day that I met Suzanne, she made it fully aware what was going on.
What did you make of that when she first told you?
I was shocked, you know, because all my mates were around there as well, and they all knew as well, and shocked, but we just couldn't believe that would happen to a woman.
Why do you care so much about Suzanne?
Well, it's not just about just about Suzanne. Obviously, it's about the whole issue of justice. Because
English psychologist Lisa Blakemore-Brown says she cannot forget what happened to Suzanne, and she's prepared to fly to New Zealand to stand by her once again.
we assume that the justice system always gets it right. And all I can say to the social services department over in your country is that they must realise that sometimes we do get it wrong, and sometimes the whole system gets it wrong.
Could this family have been saved? Could they have stayed together? Could it have worked?
Absolutely.
But it's probably too late because of Professor Southall and others who believe Suzanne was so dangerous. The world expert rarely grants interviews. He clearly doesn't like being asked too many questions.
I have told you unequivocally I cannot discuss individual cases. If you're going to persist and ask me to discuss individual cases, then we have to terminate the interview. Let me switch that on.
How do you sleep at night? Isn't there a part of you that wonders if you might have gotten it wrong, Professor Southall?
I'm trapped in my office. I can't move. Can you please switch the camera off?
On the other side of the world, a bittersweet moment for Suzanne. Her precious boxes have just arrived from England.
Boy, look at all this stuff. You're quite
Jenna.
sentimental.
Oh yeah, I've kept everything that they've made ever since they were little. Oh, that's Lucy.
From Lucy.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind? I mean, finally it's arrived here, but...
Yeah, after a long time. Just brings back memories.
Did you ever see any indication that the children wanted to live with somebody else?
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
No. None of them wanted to live with anybody else. It was so terribly, terribly sad.
Dear Judge Holman, I want to go
During the
home.
trial, Emma wrote a letter to the judge.
Please, pretty please, let us go home, and She Never Hit Us by Emma Wilson.
Somewhere in England, Suzanne's 4 young children remain hidden away by social services, wondering where their mother is. They haven't seen her in almost a year. Social services wouldn't talk to us about Suzanne's case, but we understand. Little Oliver and Lucy will very soon be adopted out, lost to Suzanne forever. As to the fate of Jenna and Emma, we understand they will remain in foster care until the age of 18. After the trial, Suzanne had a few fleeting visits with her children here at the Gosport Family Centre, supervised by social workers.
They told me that unless I admitted to abusing my children, they were going to reduce my contact to nothing, and they were going to apply for adoption orders on Oliver and Lucy. And I said, there and then, I said, I refuse to admit to something that I haven't done.
It's from Emma and Oliver.
I was due to see them again about a week before I left, but it was so hard. I didn't go.
Right, we're going to go to school then.
I just couldn't.
Say bye-bye.
You know, a lot of people are going to say, how could she bear to leave them? It's a hard question.
I think that I knew that I wasn't going to be allowed to see them anyway. And it was harder on the children. I'd met Vince, and I just decided that I'd start a new life. I couldn't fight forever. Nobody was taking any notice of me. I tried everything, so I left, but it was very hard. But that doesn't mean that I don't love them.
Do you think about them a lot?
Mm.
If you could have one wish, how would this story end?
I'd get my children back.
What would you like to say to your children? What do you want them to know about all of this?
I want them to know the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth, you know, that I never ever did anything to hurt them, that I love them and I'll always love them.
Just 2 days ago, Suzanne heard from relatives in Britain. While visiting the 2 youngest children taken from Suzanne, social services told the relatives it was the last time they would see them, as adoption is imminent. A distraught Suzanne told us she wants to try and stop the adoption and appeal the court decision that led to the removal of her children in Britain. Back in New Zealand, we understand our social welfare will meet with Suzanne and Vince next month. By the way, Professor Southall told Genevieve Westcott he stopped, in his words, overtly using secret cameras in hospital wards.